The sky is bleeding orange and pink, like someone took a brush to the horizon and smeared it with all the colors I used to love. I used to paint skies like this, back when I thought the world was infinite and my hands could capture it. Now the colors just remind me of how small I've become. The car hums beneath me, tires crunching over gravel as I roll into town. The lighthouse stands tall in the distance, its beam cutting through the dusk like a knife. I used to think it was magical, like a sentinel guarding the sea. Now it just feels lonely, like it's been waiting for something that never comes. I pass the diner, Maggie's place, the neon sign flickering like it's on its last breath. I can still see myself sitting in the corner booth, sketching on napkins, dreaming of galleries in the city. And then there's the old gallery, boarded up and forgotten. My first exhibition was there, my last too, if I'm being honest. The salty breeze slips through the cracked window, carrying the scent of seaweed and memories. I used to love that smell. Now it just makes my chest ache. The town feels smaller, quieter, like it's holding its breath. Or maybe that's just me. The house smells like rosemary and burnt garlic, a scent so familiar it hurts. Mom's in the kitchen, humming some old tune I can't place, while Dad sits at the table staring at his hands like they've got the answers written on them. Sam's the only one who looks up when I walk in, his grin wide and easy, like nothing's changed. "Look who's back," he says, leaning back in his chair. The prodigal daughter returns. I force a smile, but it feels brittle. Mom rushes over, wiping her hands on her apron, and pulls me into a hug that's too tight and not tight enough. Dad nods at me, his eyes skittering away like he's afraid to look too long. Dinner is a minefield. Mom asks about the city, about my work, about why I left so suddenly. I give her the rehearsed answers. It wasn't working out. I needed a change. The city's overrated anyway. She doesn't believe me, but she doesn't push. Not yet. Then Sam brings up the Carters. "Liam's back," he says, shoveling mashed potatoes into his mouth, "for his dad's funeral." The name hits me like a punch to the gut. Liam. I haven't said that name out loud in years. I haven't let myself think it either. But now it's there, hanging in the air between us, heavy and unspoken. Mom clears her throat, her eyes darting to Dad. He's staring at his plate like it's the most interesting thing he's ever seen. The silence stretches, thick and suffocating, until Sam breaks it with a joke that no one laughs at. I push my food around my plate, my appetite gone. Liam's back. Of course he is. The universe has a sick sense of humor. I can't sleep. The house creaks and groans like it's alive, like it's trying to tell me something. Or maybe it's just the ghosts of all the things I've been running from. I climb the stairs to the attic, the wood groaning under my weight. The air is thick with dust, and the moonlight spills through the cracked window, painting everything in silver. It's like stepping into a time capsule, one filled with all the things we couldn't bear to throw away but didn't want to see. I open a box, and the smell of old paper and mothballs hits me. There are photos of me as a kid, my hair in braids, my smile too big for my face. There's a sketchbook filled with drawings of the lighthouse, the diner, the sea. And then I see it. A leather-bound journal, its cover worn and cracked. I open it carefully, the pages brittle under my fingers. The handwriting is delicate, looping, like it was written by someone who took their time. My grandmother's journal. I start reading, and the words pull me in like a tide. It's a love story, one I never knew existed. My grandmother and Liam's grandfather. They were in love, but their families hated each other. Pride, land, some stupid feud that no one even remembers the reason for. They were torn apart, and the pain of it is etched into every word. And then, at the end, a cryptic line, "If only they could see what we left behind." The painting holds the truth. A painting? What painting? My heart races as I flip through the pages, looking for more clues, but there's nothing. Just that one line, like a riddle waiting to be solved. I sit back, the journal resting in my lap. The attic feels smaller now, the air heavier. I can't shake the feeling that I've stumbled onto something bigger than myself, something that's been waiting for me to find it. Liam's back, the journal's here, and now this. A hidden treasure, a secret that could change everything. The universe doesn't just have a sick sense of humor, it's laughing at me. The square is alive, pulsing like a heartbeat. Bonfires crackle, their flames licking at the night sky, and the air smells like roasted corn and salt and something sweet I can't quite name. Music spills from somewhere, a guitar, maybe, or a banjo. Its melody weaving through the crowd, like a thread pulling us all together. I feel like a ghost walking through a dream. The faces are familiar, but they don't fit the way they used to. There's Sarah, who used to braid my hair during sleepovers, now holding a toddler on her hip, and Jake, who once kissed me behind the bleachers, now laughing with a beer in his hand and a wedding ring on his finger. Time has moved on here, even if I haven't. "Evelyn Hart," a voice calls, and I turn to see Maggie from the diner. Her arms wide and her smile wider. "Look who decided to grace us with her presence." I force a smile, letting her pull me into a hug that smells like fry grease and lavender. "Hey, Maggie, just needed a break from the city." "A break?" She raises an eyebrow, her gaze sharp enough to cut through my lies. "Or running away?" I laugh, but it sounds hollow even to me. Maybe a little of both. The crowd shifts around us, a sea of laughter and chatter and clinking bottles. Someone hands me a drink, something fruity and strong, and I take it without thinking. The guitar music grows louder, pulling me in like a magnet. I don't know why, but I follow it. The sound leads me to the edge of the square, where a small crowd has gathered around a man sitting on a wooden crate, his guitar resting on his knee. His head is bowed, his fingers moving over the strings like they're part of him. The melody is haunting, familiar in a way that makes my chest ache. And then he looks up. Our eyes meet, and the world stops. Liam. His face is sharper than I remember, his jawline shadowed with stubble, his eyes darker, heavier. But it's him. It's him, and suddenly I'm 16 again, sitting on the hood of his car, watching the stars and dreaming of a future that felt infinite. He stops playing, the last note hanging in the air like a question. The crowd murmurs, confused, but I can't look away. "Evelyn," he says, my name soft on his lips, like it's something fragile. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I can say anything. The air between us feels charged, like a storm waiting to break. And then someone bumps into me, spilling my drink down the front of my dress. The spell shatters, and I stumble back, my face burning. "I should go," I mutter, turning away before he can say anything else. But as I push through the crowd, I can feel his eyes on me, like a weight I can't shake. The bonfire crackles, its flames reaching for the sky like they're trying to burn away the night. I stand at the edge of the crowd, my arms wrapped around myself like a shield. The heat from the fire licks at my skin, but it doesn't warm me. Nothing does. And then I feel it, that prickling sensation, like someone's watching me. I turn, and there he is, Liam. He's standing on the other side of the fire, the light casting shadows across his face. The years have carved him into someone new, someone harder, sharper. His once boyish charm has been replaced by a brooding intensity, his jaw clenched, his eyes dark and unreadable. But it's him. It's him, and my chest aches like I've been holding my breath for years. Our eyes lock, and the world narrows to just the two of us. The music fades, the laughter dies, and all I can hear is the pounding of my own heart. He takes a step forward, and I take one back, my body betraying me. I want to run. I want to stay. I want to scream. "Evelyn," he says, his voice low and rough, like it's been worn down by time and regret. "Liam," I reply, and his name feels foreign on my tongue, like a word I haven't spoken in years. Because I haven't. We stand there, the fire between us, the weight of everything we never said pressing down on my chest. The last time I saw him, we were kids. We were in love. We were stupid enough to think it would last forever. "You're back," he says, like it's a question. "I'm back," I say, like it's an apology. He nods, his eyes searching mine for something I'm not sure I can give. How long? I don't know, I admit, because it's the truth. I don't know how long I'll stay. I don't know if I can. The silence stretches between us, heavy and suffocating. I want to say something, anything, but the words stick in my throat. I want to ask him how he's been, if he's happy, if he ever thinks about me, but I don't. I can't. "It's good to see you," he says finally, his voice softer now, almost tender. "You too." I lie, because the truth is too complicated. Seeing him hurts. It hurts in a way I didn't think was possible, like reopening a wound I thought had healed. He takes another step closer, and this time I don't move. The heat from the fire is nothing compared to the heat of his gaze, and I feel like I'm burning, like I'm being consumed. "Evelyn," he starts, but then someone calls his name, and the spell is broken. He looks away, and I take the opportunity to escape, slipping into the crowd before he can say anything else. But as I walk away, I can feel his eyes on me, like a brand, like a promise. And I know, deep down, that this isn't over. The beach is quiet now, the festival's noise a distant hum behind us. The waves roll in one after another, their rhythm steady and endless, like the heartbeat of the ocean. The stars are out, scattered across the sky like someone spilled a jar of glitter. It's beautiful. It's terrifying. I don't know how we ended up here. One minute I was walking away from the bonfire, my head spinning, and the next Liam was beside me, his presence like a shadow I couldn't shake. We didn't speak, not at first. We just walked, the sand cool beneath our feet, the night wrapping around us like a blanket. Now we're here, standing at the water's edge, the waves lapping at our toes. The silence between us is heavy, charged, like the air before a storm. I can feel him looking at me, but I don't turn. I can't. If I look at him, I'll break. "Evelyn," he says, his voice soft, almost a whisper. I close my eyes, his name echoing in my chest. "Don't," I say, but it comes out weak, like I don't mean it. "Don't what?" he asks, and I can hear the smile in his voice, the one that used to make my stomach flip. "Don't say whatever it is you're about to say," I reply, my voice trembling. He steps closer, and I can feel the heat of him, the way his presence wraps around me like a magnet. "What if I need to say it?" I shake my head, my throat tight. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up after all this time, and—" "I never stopped thinking about you," he interrupts, his words cutting through the night like a knife. I freeze, my breath catching in my chest. The waves crash, the sound loud in the silence. "What?" I whisper, finally turning to look at him. His eyes are dark, intense, like they're seeing straight through me. "I never stopped," he repeats, his voice rough. "Not for a single day." I want to laugh. I want to cry. I want to scream. Instead, I just stand there, my heart pounding in my ears. You left, I say, my voice breaking. You left and you didn't look back. I know, he says, his voice full of regret. And I've spent every day since wishing I could take it back. The words hit me like a wave, knocking the air out of my lungs. I want to be angry. I want to hate him. But all I feel is this ache, this longing that's been buried so deep I almost forgot it was there. Liam, I say, but I don't know what comes next. He steps closer, his hand brushing mine, and I feel it. The spark, the electricity that's always been between us. It's still there after all this time. Evelyn, he murmurs, his voice like a prayer, and then he kisses me. It's soft at first, tentative, like he's afraid I'll pull away, but I don't. I can't. His lips are warm, familiar, and it feels like coming home, like finding something I didn't even know I was missing. The kiss deepens, and I forget everything. The years apart, the hurt, the anger. All that's left is this. Him and me and the stars and the sea. It's inevitable, like the tide rolling in. It's electric, like the air before a storm. When we finally pull apart, I'm breathless, my heart racing. He rests his forehead against mine, his eyes searching my face. I'm not leaving this time, he says, his voice firm, like a promise. I want to believe him. I want to believe that this is real, that we can start over. But the past is still there, lurking in the shadows, and I don't know if I'm strong enough to face it. For now, though, I let myself lean into him, let the sound of the waves and the warmth of his arms drown out the doubts. For now, this is enough. The town square is buzzing, but not because of the festival this time. No, it's because of her, Clara. She arrives like a storm, all sharp edges and blinding confidence. Her hair is shorter, her clothes more expensive, and her smile, God, her smile, is the kind that cut. She's everything I'm not, everything I used to want to be. I watch from the sidelines as she sets up her installation in the middle of the square. It's bold, provocative, impossible to ignore. Bright colors clash with jagged lines, and the whole thing feels like a scream, like a challenge. People gather around, murmuring in awe, and I feel a pang of something I don't want to name. Jealousy? Regret? She catches my eye and waves, her grin widening. Evelyn! Long time no see. I force a smile, my stomach twisting. Clara! Didn't know you were in town. Oh, you know me, she says, her voice dripping with faux sweetness. I couldn't resist the charm of this place. Plus, I heard there's a story here. Something about a hidden treasure. My blood runs cold. The journal. She knows about the journal. I wouldn't know, I say, my voice tight. She tilts her head, her eyes narrowing. Really? That's not what I heard. I don't respond. I can't. Instead, I turn and walk away, her laughter ringing in my ears. The diner is quiet, the kind of quiet that feels heavy, like it's waiting for something to happen. I sit in the corner booth, my coffee cooling in front of me, when the bell above the door jingles. Clara! She slides into the booth across from me, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. Fancy seeing you here. What do you want, Clara? I ask, my voice flat. She leans back, her arms crossed. What do I want? That's rich, coming from you. I clench my fists under the table, my nails digging into my palms. If you've got something to say, just say it. Fine, she says, her voice hardening. You left me. You left me when I needed you most, and now you're back, acting like you own this town, like you're some kind of martyr. I laugh, but it's bitter, hollow. I left you? You're the one who stabbed me in the back. You took my ideas, my work, and passed it off as your own. Her eyes flash, and for a moment I think she might hit me, But then she smiles, cold and calculating. You were holding me back, Evelyn. I had to do what was best for my career. Your career? I snap. You mean our career? Or did you forget that part? The silence between us is thick, charged, like the air before a thunderstorm. I can feel the weight of everything we're not saying, everything we've been carrying for years. Finally she stands, her chair scraping against the floor. This isn't over, she says, her voice low. It never is, I reply, my voice just as cold. She walks away, and I'm left sitting there, my hand shaking, my heart racing. The rumors start the next day. I hear them in the grocery store, at the gas station, even at the damn post office. Evelyn's only back because she failed in the city. She's using her family's history to get attention. She's washed up, a has-been. I know who's behind it. Clara. She's everywhere, her presence like a shadow I can't escape. She's charming the town, winning them over with her smile and her art and her lies. And I'm the villain in her story, the one who abandoned her, the one who's only here to exploit my family's past. Meanwhile, she's searching for the treasure. I see her poking around the old boathouse, the lighthouse, even the diner. She's using the journal's clues, the ones I thought were mine alone. I feel like I'm drowning, like the walls are closing in. The town that once felt like home now feels like a cage. And I don't know how much longer I can hold on. But I can't let her win. I can't let her take this from me, not again. The guitar feels heavy in my hands, like it's made of stone instead of wood. I strum a chord, the sound sharp and discordant, and I wince. It's not right. It's never right. The unfinished song mocks me from the corner of my mind, its melody hauntingly beautiful but just out of reach. I've been chasing it for years, trying to find the words that will make it whole. But every time I get close, it slips away, like smoke through my fingers. I strum again, harder this time, the notes clashing like a scream. Frustration boils in my chest, hot and suffocating. I throw the guitar aside, the sound of it hitting the floor echoing through the empty room. I can't do this. I can't. I grab my jacket and head for the beach, the cool night air biting at my skin. The waves are loud tonight, their rhythm steady and unrelenting. I walk until the sand is wet beneath my feet, until the water laps at my toes, cold and sharp. I stand there, staring out at the endless black of the ocean, and I feel so small, so lost. I don't hear her approach, but I feel her presence like a warmth at my side. Hey, Evelyn says, her voice soft, like she's afraid to startle me. I don't turn. I can't. If I look at her, I'll break. She sits beside me, the sand shifting under her weight. We don't speak for a long time. The silence between us heavy, but not uncomfortable. It's like she knows I need this quiet, this space. Finally, she says, "You're still working on it, aren't you?" I don't have to ask what she means. The song. She knows about the song. Yeah, I say, my voice rough. But it's not working. She nods, like she understands. Maybe she does. What's it about? I laugh, but it's bitter, hollow. Everything. Nothing. I don't even know anymore. She's quiet for a moment, her eyes on the horizon. Then she says, "You know, it's never too late to finish it, to create something meaningful." I turn to look at her then, really look at her. Her face is pale in the moonlight, her eyes dark and endless. She looks so strong, so sure, but I can see the cracks, the places where she's been broken and put back together. What if it's not good enough? I ask, the words spilling out before I can stop them. She smiles, but it's sad, like she knows exactly how I feel. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Her words hit me like a wave, knocking the air out of my lungs. I want to believe her. I want to believe that I can do this, that I can create something that matters. But the doubt is still there, lurking in the shadows. We sit there for what feels like hours, the waves rolling in and out, the stars spinning overhead. And then, slowly, like the tide coming in, the melody starts to form in my mind. I stand, brushing the sand off my jeans, and grab my guitar. Evelyn watches me, her eyes wide, but she doesn't say anything. I strum a chord, then another, and the melody flows out of me like it's been waiting all this time. The words come next, soft and hesitant at first, then stronger, surer. I sing of love, of loss, of second chances. I sing of the girl who got away, of the dreams we left behind, of the hope that maybe, just maybe, we can find our way back. My voice cracks, raw with emotion, but I don't stop. I can't. When I finish, the last note hanging in the air like a question, I look at Evelyn. Her eyes are shining with tears, her cheeks wet in the moonlight. "Liam," she whispers, her voice breaking. I don't say anything. I don't have to. For the first time in years, I feel whole. The festival's final night is chaos. The square is packed, the air thick with the smell of fried food and sweat and something sharper, something dangerous. The music is too loud, the laughter too forced, and the tension, God, the tension, is like a live wire, sparking and snapping in the air. I'm standing at the edge of the crowd, my heart pounding in my chest, when I hear her voice. "Evelyn Hart!" Clara's voice cuts through the noise like a knife, sharp and accusing. I turn, and there she is, standing on the makeshift stage, her eyes blazing. The crowd parts, their murmurs growing louder, and suddenly all eyes are on me. "You think you can just waltz back into town and take credit for my work?" she shouts, her voice trembling with anger. "You think you can steal my ideas and pass them off as your own?" The crowd gasps, their whispers turning into a roar. I feel like I've been punched in the gut, the air knocked out of me. "That's not true," I say, but my voice is drowned out by the noise, and then, from the other side of the square, I hear shouting. The Harts and the Carters, their faces red with anger, their fists clenched. The feud, simmering for years, is about to boil over. I feel like I'm drowning, like the world is closing in. I don't know what makes me do it. Maybe it's the look in Clara's eyes, the way she's smirking like she's already won. Maybe it's the sight of my family, my town, tearing itself apart. Or maybe it's just that I'm tired. Tired of running, tired of hiding, tired of carrying the weight of all these secrets. I step forward, the journal clutched in my hands. "Enough," I shout, my voice cutting through the noise like a whip. The crowd falls silent, their eyes wide, their breaths held. I open the journal, my hands trembling, and begin to read. "My dearest Samuel," I start, my voice shaking. "I write this knowing we may never be together, but I cannot let our story die with us." I read the story of my grandmother and Liam's grandfather, their love forbidden, their hearts broken by pride and misunderstanding. I read about the feud, the lies, the pain that's been passed down through generations. By the time I finish, my voice is raw, my cheeks wet with tears. The crowd is silent, their faces pale, their eyes wide. "This feud," I say, my voice trembling but strong, "it's not about land or pride or whatever stupid reason we've been telling ourselves. It's about love, and it's time we stopped letting it tear us apart." The silence stretches, heavy and suffocating, and then, slowly, the crowd begins to murmur. I see my father, his face pale, his eyes wet. I see Liam's mother, her hand over her mouth, her shoulders shaking, and then, from the back of the crowd, I hear clapping. It starts slow, hesitant, but then it grows, spreading through the crowd like a wave. I don't know how Liam gets on stage. One minute he's beside me, his hand on my shoulder, and the next he's standing in front of the crowd, his guitar in his hands. The crowd falls silent again, their eyes on him. He strums a chord, the sound sharp and clear, and then he begins to sing. His voice is raw, emotional, and it cuts through the night like a knife. He sings of love, of loss, of second chances. He sings of the girl who got away, of the dreams we left behind, of the hope that maybe, just maybe, we can find our way back. The crowd is spellbound, their faces pale, their eyes wide. I feel like I'm floating, like the world has stopped turning. When he finishes, the last note hanging in the air like a question, the crowd erupts into applause. I look at Liam, his eyes shining with tears, and I feel something I haven't felt in years: hope. The boathouse smells like salt and old wood, the air thick with the weight of years. Liam's flashlight cuts through the darkness, its beam bouncing off the walls, revealing stacks of forgotten fishing nets and rusted tools. It feels like stepping into a tomb, like we're trespassing on something sacred. "This is it," I say, my voice barely above a whisper. "It has to be." Liam nods, his face pale in the dim light. We've been following the clues from the journal all morning, piecing together the fragments of a story that's been buried for decades, and now, standing here in the shadows, I can feel it, the pull of something bigger than us, something that's been waiting for this moment. I move toward the back of the boathouse, my heart pounding in my chest. There's an old chest tucked into the corner, its wood warped and cracked. I kneel in front of it, my hands trembling as I lift the lid. And there it is. The painting is stunning, more beautiful than I could have imagined. The lighthouse stands tall, bathed in the golden light of dawn, its beam cutting through the darkness like a promise. The colors are vibrant, alive, and I can feel the love in every brushstroke. "It's incredible," Liam says, his voice soft with awe. I nod, tears pricking at the corners of my eyes. "It's more than that. It's us. It's this town. It's everything we've been fighting for." We carry the painting back to the gallery, the sunlight glinting off its surface. When we hang it on the wall, it feels like we're hanging a piece of ourselves, a piece of our history. The town gathers to see it, their faces pale, their eyes wide, and as they stand there, staring at the painting, I can feel the weight of the feud lifting like a fog clearing after a storm. She finds me at the gallery, her face pale, her eyes red. "Evelyn," she says, her voice trembling. "Can we talk?" I nod, my heart pounding in my chest. We step outside, the cool night air biting at my skin. "I'm sorry," she says, the words spilling out like she's been holding them in for years. "I was so focused on my career, on proving myself, that I forgot what really matters. I forgot about you." I don't say anything. I can't. "I was jealous," she admits, her voice breaking. "You were always so talented, so sure of yourself. And I just wanted to be like you." I look at her, really look at her, and I see the girl I used to know, the girl who used to laugh with me, dream with me. "I forgive you," I say, the words soft but sure. She looks at me, her eyes wide, her lips trembling. "You do?" I nod. "But we're not the same people we used to be. And that's okay. We can start over, but it has to be different this time." She nods, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you." We don't hug. We don't need to. The town feels different now, like it's been washed clean by the rain. The streets are quieter, the air softer, and the colors, God, the colors, are brighter than I've ever seen them. I'm sitting on the beach, my sketchbook in my lap, when Liam finds me. "Hey," he says, his voice soft. "Hey," I reply, my heart skipping a beat. He sits beside me, his shoulder brushing mine. What are you drawing? I show him the sketch. The lighthouse, the waves, the golden light of dawn. It's beautiful, he says, his voice full of wonder. I nod, my cheeks warm. It's home. He smiles, his eyes shining with tears. I'm glad you're staying. Me too, I say, my voice soft but sure. We sit there, watching the waves roll in, the sun setting behind us, and for the first time in years, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. The past is behind us, the future ahead, and this moment, this perfect golden moment, is ours.